There are certain television shows that become more relevant with age instead of less. The Comeback is one of them. When it first premiered in 2005, many viewers did not quite know what to do with it. The show was uncomfortable, awkward, emotionally raw, and years ahead of the cultural conversation surrounding reality television, celebrity humiliation, parasocial media, and the entertainment industry's obsession with turning vulnerability into content. Created by Lisa Kudrow and Michael Patrick King, The Comeback follows Valerie Cherish, a once popular sitcom actress from the 1990s trying to restart her career in middle age. To revive public interest, Valerie agrees to star in a reality show documenting her comeback, while simultaneously acting in a degrading network sitcom where she is treated more like a relic than a respected performer. That premise may sound comedic, and technically, it is. But over time, the series reveals itself to be something far more unsettling. Because The Comeback is not really about fame. It is about observation, about what happens to a human being when cameras, editors, audiences, producers, and public opinion slowly begin constructing a version of you that overtakes your actual inner self. Long before social media influencers, long before TikTok confessionals, long before the internet normalized public emotional collapse as entertainment, The Comeback already understood the machinery. It understood how modern media can flatten people into consumable narratives. The desperate woman, the aging actress, the train wreck, the punchline, the meme. And perhaps most disturbingly, it understood how audiences participate in that process while believing they are simply watching reality. The performance by Lisa Kudrow is one of the great achievements in television acting precisely because Valerie Cherish exists in contradiction at all times. She is embarrassing and perceptive, vain and vulnerable, exhausting and heartbreaking, performative and deeply sincere. Many viewers initially laugh at Valerie, then slowly realize they're participating in the exact cruelty the show is critiquing. Over the years, The Comeback evolved from cult oddity into one of the most academically discussed television satires of the 21st century, particularly in conversations about reality television ethics, media framing, gendered aging in Hollywood, emotional labor, humiliation as entertainment, and narrative ownership. And nowhere do those themes converge more powerfully than in the show's finale. Because beneath the comedy and discomfort lies a devastating philosophical question: who has the authority to define a person's story? The observer, the editor, the audience, or the person themselves? That question becomes central during Valerie's final confrontation with Jane, the producer documentarian who has spent years filming and shaping Valerie's life into a televised narrative. Jane believes that after years of observation, she finally sees Valerie clearly. But Valerie challenges the entire premise. And in doing so, The Comeback delivers one of television's sharpest critiques of how media confuses access with understanding. Because Jane's mistake is subtle. She believes proximity equals truth. She believes years of footage, emotional breakdowns, awkward moments, and behind-the-scenes access have given her insight into Valerie's authentic self. But Valerie realizes something terrifying. Being watched is not the same thing as being known. Repeated observation is not the same thing as understanding a person. You can watch someone for years, study them, film them, edit them, interpret them, and still never possess authority over who they actually are. That is the illusion Valerie finally rejects. Jane spent years constructing a narrative around Valerie, the fading actress, the needy woman, the pathetic survivor of Hollywood irrelevance. Even Jane's empathy still contains reduction. Even her compassion still frames Valerie as a tragic subject to be interpreted. And Valerie finally pushes back against the entire structure itself. Not just the insults. Not just the humiliation. The framework. What Valerie is essentially saying is, you observed me. You curated me. You interpreted me. But you never possessed authority over who I actually am. That line cuts deeper than simple self-defense. It becomes a statement about authorship. About who gets to assign meaning to another human life. Because every person retains the right to define the meaning of their own experiences. Whether you are Valerie Cherish, or whoever you believe yourself to be now, if nobody else carried the emotional cost of your choices, endured the consequences of your survival, or lived inside the reality of your existence, then nobody else gets final narrative authority over your life either. Not audiences. Not editors. Not critics. Not spectators. Nobody else lived your interior life from the inside. And that is why Valerie's rebellion matters so much. She is not merely defending her reputation. She is reclaiming authorship over her own existence. What makes this moment extraordinary is that Valerie does not suddenly become conventionally powerful. She remains contradictory. Still needy, still approval-seeking, still theatrical, still insecure. But contradiction is exactly the point. Human beings are not clean narratives. And that is where Jane's documentary fails. Because documentaries, reality television, and modern media ecosystems often depend on simplification. They compress people into emotionally legible categories: the villain, the victim, the narcissist, the train wreck, the comeback story. But Valerie resists symbolic reduction. And psychologically, that resistance matters. Throughout the series, Valerie survives humiliation through adaptation. She develops behaviors common in unstable status systems: forced positivity, self-deprecating humor, appeasement, emotional masking, and extraordinary tolerance for disrespect in exchange for belonging. A lot of viewers interpret this as weakness. But the show repeatedly hints that Valerie is far more self-aware than people realize. She notices when people mock her. She notices pity. She notices manipulation. She understands the transaction taking place around her. And perhaps most painfully, she understands that visibility itself is currency. Especially for women aging inside entertainment industries that treat relevance like an expiration date. To disappear is death, so Valerie absorbs humiliation and converts it into survival. That is why the finale still feels so modern. Because we now live in a culture where millions of people constantly experience mediated identity. Social media profiles, edited personas, reaction clips, public callouts, algorithmic reputations. People are routinely flattened into narratives constructed by strangers. And audiences often confuse visibility with truth. We think access equals understanding. But the comeback argues something far more uncomfortable. No amount of footage can fully penetrate another person's interior reality. Observation alone cannot grant ownership over someone else's meaning. That is why Valerie's confrontation with Jane resonates beyond television criticism. It becomes existential. Who owns the truth about a person? The camera? The audience? The editor? Or the self? And the comeback refuses easy answers because Valerie herself is not entirely innocent, entirely empowered, or entirely victimized. She participates in the machine that harms her. She wants fame, approval, attention, validation. But wanting those things does not erase her humanity. And it certainly does not surrender her right to self-definition. That is the emotional genius of the finale. Valerie finally understands that humiliation only fully succeeds once other people permanently become authors of your identity. And for the first time in the series, she refuses consent to that arrangement. She says, in essence, no. You do not get final editorial authority over my soul. And honestly, that may be the most radical thing the comeback ever says. Not merely about Hollywood, but about being human in an age where everybody is constantly being watched, interpreted, categorized, and consumed. Because maybe true dignity is not avoiding humiliation entirely. Maybe true dignity is refusing to let humiliation become the definitive meaning of your life. And Valerie Cherish finally takes that meaning back.